Hi everyone, welcome to another Pokemon trading card game match. Today we have, on your right, Diedrich with a kind of interesting deck. It's kind of a fighting Mega Manectric deck. And Diedrich is, of course, also known as Ace567. The link to his channel will be in the description. Definitely go check him out. He's a good friend of mine. And, well, the point of his deck, well, the theory of his deck is to play Mega Manectric to deal damage and to get energy back with its Turbo Bolt attack onto all sorts of fighting Pokemon like Lucario, Landorus, etc. And on your left you have Brandon, who is playing a Virizion Genesect deck. Very typical, very well used. I have a deck myself, that's my current deck. It's been really popular ever since it was first a thing, like August 2013, so even now, almost 2 years later, it's still viable, still good. And, well, it looks like Brandon's going first. He started out with a Mr. Mime, something that most Virizion Genesect decks don't actually tech in, at least most of the ones I've seen don't, so it's very unfortunate that he started with that, but I guess it's better than starting off with, say, a Jirachi EX, because at least Mr. Mime has a job that it can do while it's down on the field. Jirachi you can only really make use of if you play it during your turn. And, well, at the start of the game, that's not your turn. So he decides, well, I need something else, like, right now. Got a Virizion EX out. Now, Lucario EX is weak to Psychic, so that Mr. Mime could attack it if he had the energy. But most decks don't that use Mr. Mime don't run Psychic energy. Plus, you really don't want to attack with Mr. Mime ever. Oh, what just happened there? I think he played the VS Seeker for the N, and Diedrich thought he was going to play the N. And there, he plays it now. He played the Escape Rope first, though. Now, that wouldn't have been too bad if that had been the case, where he did play the N. Well, he was going to play the N anyway during this turn. But otherwise, that would have been pretty much an auto game loss right off the bat. You gotta, there was a situation at some regionals, I think it was Virginia, a few weeks ago, where somebody put down the N and their opponent shuffled in their hand into their deck, and then the person who played in said, I'm actually not playing in, it's just right there. So one good way to know if your opponent's playing in or not is to look closely at the text. N says, shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw cards equal to number of prize cards, then your opponent does the same. So wait for your opponent to play the N and then shuffle their hand into their deck before you shuffle yours in as well, just to avoid a situation like we almost had there, where Diedrich would have lost, because he shuffled his hand in when Brandon wasn't actually playing the N. Anyway, Brandon has to, he's just left with attaching a muscle band and an energy and passing. Diedrich got the Fighting Stadium. So now Lucario EX's attacks are doing 30 more to that Virizion EX. It does not apply to Manectric EX, and right now Manectric can only deal out at max 40 damage, and that's only if it can get a muscle band out. We're looking more realistically at only 20 due to its overrun attack, which deals 20 to the active and 20 to the bench, but Mr. Mime prevents that bench damage, so really it's only dealing 20 to the active. We see Diedrich Karina for a Hawlucha and a Professor's Letter, and Hawlucha, I had reservations about it until I saw just how good it is. It can deal out, well, it never deals a one-hit knockout on EXs unless they're insanely low HP EXs, but it still two-shots almost everything, and your opponent only takes one prize for knocking it out. Plus, it has free retreat. So, I think Diedrich should really be playing Hawlucha here. I mean, he's in no danger of getting one-shotted by that Virizion, so... but if Brandon gets a Genesect out with G-Booster, it's one-shotting those EXs. And I would rather send up my Hawlucha as a sacrifice and have Brandon only take one prize. And there's the Muscle Band and the attachment. So we're going to see an overrun for 40. And no damage to the bench thanks to Mr. Mime. The ability Bench Barrier prevents all damage done to the bench by attacks, both by you and your opponent. So let's say you have Seismitoad and you get into a situation where you're going to be using Grenade Hammer, which deals 130 to the active, and then 30 to 2 of your own benched Pokemon. Well, Mr. Mime prevents that damage too. It's not just your opponent's attacks. So we see a Colress for 4 after benching the Genesect from Brandon's end. And, well, he has the energy all set up on this Virizion to use Emerald Slash, and that's what he's going to do. Emerald Slash for 70. Muscle Band is really adding damage all over the place, isn't it? It made Overrun do 40 instead of 20, and it made Emerald Slash do 70 instead of 50. It may not seem like much, but 20 damage really does add up. We see an attachment to Manectric. Now it's able to use Salt Laser, its second attack, which deals 60 plus 60 if there's a tool attached to your opponent, and then another 20 thanks to the Muscle Band. So really it's doing 160 right now, which is a 140 right now to that Virizion, which is a knockout if he decides to go that route. And we see Karina, once again. Karina is such a powerful supporter card in fighting type decks. Not really good with most other decks, but it works great if you have at least one fighting Pokemon in your deck. He's going to get a Landorus and then a Muscle Band, which he's attaching to that Hawlucha. Now the Hawlucha's attacks are doing 80 damage. If he gets a strong energy on it, no, it's dealing 100 damage right now, and if he gets a strong energy, it's dealing 120. Fighting Stadium deals an extra... Wait, is it... no, it deals 30, 20, one of those. Fighting Stadium adds damage done to EXs by fighting type Pokemon. So right there we just see the Salt Laser for knockout and 2 prizes. And, well, Brandon needs energy. Well, he just attached the Plasma Energy to Genesect, and he opted not to use Red Signal. Interesting. He could have brought up, let's say, that Landorus EX, which has a 3 retreat cost, which would have forced Diedrich to have either a Float Stone or a Switch in order to get out of the active spot. But, you know, this Manectric only has 100 HP left. I mean, Brandon has already attached for his turn. If he didn't, and he could get a Grass Energy and a Colress machine here, he could realistically have knocked out that Manectric. But I guess he thought maybe that was too much to ask for off of just 6 cards from his end. And he's going to play the Megaphone, so bye-bye Muscle Bands. Megaphone is such a powerful card. And we're just going to see... Oh, I guess he already had the other energy on Genesect. Never mind. He just Megalo Cannons for knockout, and then that deals 20 to a random bench Pokemon on Diedrich's end, and Brandon chose to target that Lucario. Makes sense. Lucario has 170 HP, so if he can dwindle it down with Megalo Cannon to the point of maybe getting it within knockout range of a Megalo Cannon with a Muscle Band, then sure. But really, at that point, it didn't really matter what he targeted, because everything will eventually just get one shot if he gets a G-Booster into play. And Diedrich played an N of his own, and oh, the Jamming Net. Jamming Net does 2 things to hinder Brandon. It puts a tool on Genesect, now it can't attach a Muscle Band or, more importantly, G-Booster, and it reduces Genesect's attacks by 20 damage. Headringer, I think, would have been the better Flare card to have, because it requires you to have an extra energy altogether. But, you know, Jamming Net does the job too. You know, let's see, Brandon's going to bench a Virizion, energy switch an energy onto Virizion, retreat, discarding the Plasma Energy, attach a Plasma Energy to Virizion for his turn, and then Juniper. So he had everything he needed there to just, well, keep working with what he has. And he does have the Tool Retriever in his hand. Tool Retriever is a card that you're going to see a lot of in Virizion decks, because they really rely on their own tools and not having Headringer or Jamming Net put onto them. So he's opting not to play it, though. He's just going to Emerald Slash for 50 and get 2 Grass Energy from his deck onto that Genesect. Maybe he's saving the Tool Retriever for later. Makes sense. I mean, if Diedrich has another Jamming Net, then it doesn't really matter playing the Tool Retriever. Diedrich top decked a Skyla. He could play that, but what would he get? He's going to attach a strong energy to Lucario. Interesting. I mean, Lucario does have the Missile Jab, I think, where you deal damage and then draw cards until you have 6 in your hand. Let's see. With its first attack right now, it's doing a total of 90 damage, I think. Fighting Stadium adds 20, not 30, right? Maybe it adds 30, and I'm just forgetting it, remembering it incorrectly, but I think it adds 20. But instead, we're just going to see the Flying Press for 80. Hawlucha, I feel Diedrich believes as I do that giving up 1 prize is more important here. Oh, and there's the Enhanced Hammer for Brandon's End. There goes the Strong Energy. Enhanced Hammer is a thing, guys, and it's not a fun thing either. We see the Skyla from Brandon's End. He could get the G-Booster right now. Really no reason to. Because, well, this Hawlucha's active, and unless he has the Plasma... Oh, he did have the Plasma Energy in hand. He could have used Red Signal to bring up, let's say, that Landorus EX or the Lucario, and then use G-Booster if with the Skyla. He has the Tool Retriever in his hand, so... But I guess he's going the safer route, not revealing that he has the Tool Retriever. And he's just going to get a Genesect EX with that Ultra Ball, attach an energy to that, start setting it up, and now he's going to Emerald Slash for knockout and get the other Genesect completely powered up. So, well, he gets another prize, but that's the thing with Hawlucha. It only yields 1 prize, not 2. That's so often to see these days. And not as much now as it used to be like a year ago when people only ever played with EXs in their decks. But, well, that 1 prize will bring Brandon 1 step closer to winning, and now I believe he's actually... is he ahead on prizes? Yeah, he's ahead on prizes. He only has 3 prizes left. Diedrich has 4. And Diedrich really needs something amazing here. He does have the fighting energy, but I guess, well, if I were him, I would have really hoped for the strong energy, because that Virizion has 80 damage on it. The strong energy would have dealt 90, I think. Which would have been exactly enough for a knockout on the Virizion. But then what? It's completely possible Brandon has the G-Booster, then this Lucario would be dead. Well, we just don't know what's going on here. If I were Diedrich, well, he's holding on to that energy, trying to figure out where he wants to attach it to. He also has a Super Scoop Up in his hand. No, that's a switch. If he did have Super Scoop Up, he could potentially use it on this Lucario to take away that 20 damage, but is it really worth it? 20 damage? It's already going to get knocked out by a G-Booster if that comes in, so... Instead, we're just going to see the first attack. I think the first attack is Missile Jab, which deals usually just 30, and it's not affected by resistance. So, right there it dealt 50 instead, thanks to the Fighting Stadium and the Muscle Band. I'm sorry, 70 instead, thanks to the thanks to the Stadium and Muscle Band. And yeah, as you can see, Virizion now has 150 damage on it, just 20 short of a knockout. If Diedrich had gotten the strong energy there, that Virizion would be dead. But as it is, it's now alive, and, well, Brandon just, he can do all sorts of things, and he doesn't yield any prizes at all to Diedrich. He used the Skyla to get the G-Booster there. That was pretty inevitable. You can just attach it to the bench Genesect, retreat into Genesect, and he's going to do exactly that, and use G-Booster for the knockout on this Lucario and put himself down to just 1 prize. And then after that, well, then all he needs to do is knock out that Hawlucha, and he wins. And Diedrich promotes the Hawlucha, because it has free retreat, and if he gets something amazing here, then he can just retreat into something else. And if he doesn't, then it doesn't really matter. I think Diedrich has lost at this point, but oh, what a fun game it has been. It's just Manectric didn't get to do his job very well, and Landorus and Lucario didn't get powered up in time. Luckily, they all just require 1 or 2 energies each, so that wasn't his problem. The problem was really just... he concedes. The problem was really just that he had a horrible matchup. Virizion Genesect is tried and true. It's very powerful, and it continues to be powerful, as you guys saw here. So I hope you all enjoyed this match. I have plenty more coming up. That pretty much does it. Thanks everyone for watching, and stay tuned for more.